seats were concerned, but the seats were still at par. There were 9 seats each shared by both parties. Now this was because some of the seats that were traditional NDC seats swung to the NPP. One of such seats is Karaga, that is the constituency of Ghana's current finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. And so in the 2016 election, as you can see on the screen, the NPP garnered 10,798 seats vote over there, as against the NDC's 15,820. Now, in 2020, NPP's votes count rose from 10,798 to 28,335, whereas the NDC just added about a little over 3,000 votes to their vote count, garnering some 19,690. And so the NPP managed to snatch this seat from the NDC in the 2020 election. Now, this is the confirmation of the result. Al-Hassan Swalihu Dandawa of the NDC, 19,690, and Mohamed Amin Adam of the NPP, 28,335. Now, this is the breakdown of the historical results in that constituency. Now, between 2004 and then 2016, Al-Hassan Swalihu Dandawa was the incumbent MP for that area. Now, the seat was carved out in 2004, and he had continuously occupied that seat from 2004 to 2016, but in 2020 he lost grip on that seat, and Mohamed Amin Adam came to snatch it. So this is one example of seats that the NPP managed to snatch from the NDC, even though the Northeast region was carved out of the Northern region in 2020. Now, if you go over to the presidential election, the chart...
No, let's go back to the parliamentary.
Okay.
I have realized something. You realize that from 2004 to 2016, the then member of parliament's popularity started going down.
Dwindling.
He should have exited for another person to come. Unfortunately, he wanted to hold on to that particular seat. That place, is not Nadoli Kali, where one person could hold on for a very long time. So I think that his popularity simply went down. Because if you look at 2004, I think he had
65%.
65%.
Yes.
What about 2008?
56.
2012.
51.
So from 65 to 56. From
51
to 51
to
51
49.
to 49.
Yes.
What should I tell you?
Drastic.
Exactly. So at that point, he should have known that his popularity had gone down, and so there was the need for another person to,
So the result of the presidential election will also tell you another interesting story about
let's check that out.
Very interesting. Very interesting. 63%. In 2004, that's the first election held in that constituency.
Right.
It drops to 58.8, drops further to 56.6, drops again to 52, and then drops to 42, which causes them to lose the election in that constituency as well. So whilst the MP's popularity was dwindling, the fortunes of the NDC itself was dwindling, because this is what Mills garnered in 2004. This is what Mills garnered in 2008. This is what Mahama garnered in 2012. Mahama again in 2016. And then Mahama again in 2020.
This is what happens when or if you don't have a stronger candidate
yes,
in the constituency. I don't know what you think, Bless. I'll come to you, Ruben, on the issue of Karaga.
Well, very interesting. So it appears that, so it's Honorable Amin
Adam's constituency. First time. No.
Yes.
Okay. So yes. So he had contested yesterday when we were going through the strongholds.
He had contested in one of
and lost over there as far back as 2004. And then in 2020 he comes over here and then wins it first time of asking.
I think there's also one thing that we haven't taken notice of. Let's go back to the 2020 parliamentary elections of Karaga and look at the comparison. No, let's go up a little bit.
Okay.
Yes. So look at 2016. 10,798 votes. That formed 33.4% of the vote for the NPP, and then the NDC polled some 15,820 votes. A little over 5,000 votes difference. But when you look at the results of 2020, 28,335 335 votes as against 19,690 votes. My question is that why that enormous voter turnout?
That's a big question.
So why what happened? What happened in Karaga to have sparked that enormous
spike in
the voter turnout? Because if you look at the number of votes, the number of voters 10,798 plus 15,820, that should give you a little over.
So I'm coming. I would like us to check the result of 2016 and then make a comparison between the numbers.
Yes, and I think also see the other contestants, those who contested, because when I first looked at it, that was the first thing that came to mind. The huge voter turnout.
Because in 2016, ordinarily the numbers will add up to some 26,000.
Yes.
So even if other candidates won,
let's say about 30,000
and now
voters.
And now the NPP manages to get up 28,000,
which is actually more than the votes of NDC and NPP combined in 2016. Yes.
So I have that of 2016 here. Al Hassan Swalihu Dandawa contested on the ticket of a National Democratic Congress in 2016. Suleimana Said contested on the ticket of an NPP in 2016. Mohammed Al Hassan Somwa contested on the ticket of PPPs. Osman Adam Idrisu on the ticket of CPP, and then Al Hassan Abdul Ganiyu on the ticket of PNC. Now, Al Hassan Swalihu Dandawa of NDC had 15,820 votes, representing 48.97%. Suleimana Ibn Said had 10,798, representing 33.43%. Mohammed Al Hassan Somwa had 5,405 votes, representing 16.73%. Usman Adam Idrisu of CPP had 160 votes, representing 0.50%, and Al Hassan Abdul Ganiyu had 120 votes for the PNC, representing 0.37%.
So I want to see the total voter roll.
Yes, but even that, if you add the 5,000 of
that of the PPP,
if you add the 5,000, then we should be in the region of 32,000.
Because this alone is in the north of 50.
Exactly.
1,000.
Yes. So where did that extra number of votes come from? Where did that motivation,
that influx?
Yes. Where did that motivation come from to go out and then vote?
Is it that somebody managed to transport people to that constituency?
We are only asking questions.
We
are only asking questions.
I would like to know the voter population in 2016, and then let's make a juxtaposition with the last election. I think that will inform us better, because in the last election there were 53,498 registered voters.
Yes.
In that constituency. And
this, this was in 2020.
2020.
When we add the numbers, what do we get?
The numbers 28,000.
28,000 plus 19,000. Let me see, 38,000 plus 9. You are around 47,000, 48,000. So that's,
and even if you add this gives you another 1,000 plus.
Yes.
So let's say
so about 48,000.
Yes.
Minus the other candidate
5,000. Let's see his 5,000.
No, but this is 20. No, that was 2016.
2016.
Yes. So we do not know the other numbers for the other candidates in 2020.
No, so in 2020 it was just between the NPP and then the NDC.
Okay, no other.
Just the two of them.
Yes.
So
but even that,
let's assume the 5,000, the excess 5,000 would have been shared amongst the other parties.
Yeah.
It still shows that there has been a great leap from the 10,000 NPP. NPP got close to 18,000 more votes.
That is about 180% of the votes.
That's a great leap, because
of the votes
from 10,798 to 28,335. That is close to 18,000. 18,000.
Yeah.
Whichever candidate gets these numbers.
Ruben, I would want you to come in. Your opinion or your position on what we are seeing you know, in Karaga.
It's an interesting statistics I'm seeing. I'm beginning to ask questions as to why that huge voter turnout. What has accounted for it? We are not privy to it, but from where we sit, it clearly indicates there were some machinations on the part of political actors. I mean, from both political divide. You cannot sit down and pinpoint one and leave the other out. I'm sure definitely something might have accounted for it. We know it's heavily populated by people of northern extraction, but from what we are seeing, it is likely that certain people colluded, you know, to double up figures to favor one candidate over the other, which is why we are seeing such, you know, huge figures.
But I know that what people do sometimes is that during registration, they try to transport people from other places to a particular constituency to go and register. Yeah. And so on election day, all those people would have to come and vote in that constituency.
Whether they are eligible or not.
No, eligible people, but what they do is that they move them from wherever they are. And so on election day, they will provide buses and all of that for those
food
people in order to move them from those places to that constituency to go and vote. We are not saying that happens.
That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. But we are only thinking how
these are some Machiavellian tactics used to.
And in fact, in this registration, there have been instances where people were accusing some of the parliamentary candidates and then the members of parliament that they were moving, you know, people from other places to come and register in some of those constituencies. Some of these things, you know, tend a fight between you know, the two political opponents. I don't know if Bless, you still have something to say on that.
I wasn't wrong with the numbers when I did my tabulation.
Yes.
The votes of the NPP and NDC in the 2020 election amounted to some 48,025 votes. Exactly 48,000 and 25. So if you have 53,498 voters and you deduct it from you subtract it from the total voter turnout, which is 53,498, what you have is 5,473. 5,473 people did not vote in. But then it means that we are not even adding the figures from other candidates. So it was just
these two. Yes.
Yeah.
It was just
so just 5,473 out of the 53,000 people didn't vote. But I wish we had the registered voters for 2016.
Yes. I'll be glad if we could get that.
Right. I'll try and see.
Then we see the spike, the numbers, because they are just a little over 28,000 votes over here. I mean, 10,798 and then 15,820. So let's say between 25 to 26,000 votes in 2016. That was the margin between the NDP and the NDC. Of course, the other candidates also got some figures. You round them all up, and let's say we are in the north of 30,000. But this time we're having 53,000 plus votes, and so that tells you it's a leap of our close to 21,000 more voters you know, were on that list. Now, but Justice, let's also look at the presidential election. Now Akufo-Addo Ghana's 26,270.
So I've seen the figures for 2016. So 43,341.
Okay, so
that was the number of registered voters.
And now we have 53.
So about 10,000. 10,000 more.
Yes.
Registered voters.
So from 43
to 53.
Yes. So 10,000 more.
Yeah, 10,000 more.
And even amidst the 10,000 more, the NPP's candidate managed to get almost 18,000 more votes.
Yes, but you see, when you look at the numbers of the NDC, they actually gained
They gained, but their net gain was some 3,000 more.
Exactly.
And I'm thinking the CPP's candidates did the magic.
Well,
because he has 5,000, right? In the previous election.
Yes.
In 2020, it's a match between only Amin Adam and the incumbent MP. And then Amin Adam not only eats into the spike 10, because the 10,000 votes were shared between the NPP and the NDC.
Yeah.
Because if it's 10,000 more voters, of course the NDC has 3,000 plus more votes.
Yes.
The NPP has 18,000.
Yeah.
So it means the NPP eats into the votes.
Probably about 7,000 votes from the newly registered voters.
And then goes to eat into the 5,000. It's quite clear.
Yes,
I mean,
the 5,000.
You can assume that the 5,000 also went in his favor.
Yeah.
And maybe some other voters who refrained from voting in the last election might have also decided to vote for him.
And also, I understand a bit about people coming in, gerrymandering.
The argument about the people trooping in would fall under the 10,000 more votes, which means because if you are not on the list, you are not voting.
Yes.
And so the new forces, the people who came from other parts of the country, if they are true, they all accumulate the 10,000 plus votes we have. But then the man has 18,000 more votes than the NPP garnered in 2016. And so obviously the 10,000 votes is not enough. He manages to eat into the CPP's 5,000 and probably into the excess 5,000 who refused or who refrained from voting in the 2016 election.
Right.
And so, I mean, that might be proof of Amin Adams' dominance. I think even though he has been in the sphere for quite some time, he was not known. But to have come for a first time and then unseat an incumbent MP in such a manner, I think it's
well,
quite
let's see how it
Yeah.
goes. But let's check the presidential and then move to another constituency.
right. So in the presidential, Nana Adedam Akufo-Addo of the NPP, 26,270. John Mahama, 19,884. Christian Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement, 138. Percival Akpalu of LPG, 113. Hassan Ayariga of All People's Congress, 79. Albert Walker, Independent, 71. David Apasera, PNC, 62. Ivor Greenstreet, CPP, 46. Bridget Jogbenuku of the PPP, 23. Henry Lati, GCPP, 22. Nana Kunodo Ajman Rawlings, NDP, 19. Ekwadonko, GFP, 15. Now, this has been also the trend in that region. NDC 2004, 08, 12, 16, and then JM loses as well in 2020.
But this is what happened in 2016 with regards to the presidential. John Mahama had 16,610 votes, representing 51.98%. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo of MPP had 12,716 votes, representing 39.79%. Park Wizini-Dum had 1,907, representing 5.97 votes. Ivor Greenstreet had 400 votes. Edward Mahama had 149 votes. Jacob Osei-Yeboah 109 votes. And then Nana K.A. Rawlings had 65 votes. So John Mahama won, in that constituency in 2016.
Yes, but lost in 2020 to 2020 in a fashion quite similar to what happened with his MP. And so I believe it was an NDC problem, because there were times you'd realize the seat will flip to the NPP, but John Mahama will win.
Yes.
This time, both John Mahama and his candidate lost by almost the same margins.
I believe, and that's my opinion, I believe that, one, the NPP worked hard. Number two, it is highly possible that they moved people from somewhere else to go and register in that constituency. You cannot have all the people voting for the parliamentary candidate at the same time voting for the presidential candidate. If you check the votes,
unison.
Exactly.
There's unison.
Perhaps they were impressed with, with the works of Akufo-Addo from 2016 to 2020. So they decided to give him a resounding victory.
Well, that's my opinion anyway. Let's move to the next constituency.
Right. So our next stop will be the Bandai constituency. Daniel Nsala Wakpal, he's a personal friend as well, very honorable man by all indications. So in the 2016 election, NPP garners 19,044, NDC 18,301, and then in 2020, NPP 23,669, NDC 25,741. Now this is a swing constituency because the NDC won from 96 to 2008. And then in 2012, the NPP manages to, snatch that seat, and then they win it for a second time in 2016. And then Daniel Nsala Wakpal comes back to snatch the seat. And so this is the breakdown of the results. Daniel Nsala Wakpal, 25,741. Matthew Yindam, 23,669 NPP. And then the CPP's candidate garners 135 votes, and then Donko Nipani from the APC 37 votes. And so this is a constituency with 55,999. And so there are not too many people who refrain from voting in this constituency, because 25,000, 23,000, I don't think there are too many people who refrain from voting. As we saw in the previous one, we had an excess of about 5,000. And so this is the confirmation of the result for the parliamentary election, 96 to 2008. The seat was occupied by Likbalimo Kwadwo Teria.
The late
Likbalimo Kwadwo Teria. He occupied the seat from 96 to 2008. And then in 2012, Matthew Yindam comes on board, snatches the seat from the NPP and the NDC, and goes on a 2-term, and then loses on his third attempt to Nsala Wakpal. And so this is one of the areas we should be looking at, because it can go for any faction, it can go for any party, owing to the results of the last 3 elections.
Question is, persons who contest and eventually win the election, if they are in power and their popularity is dwindling, do they know? Well, look at that place also. 96,
58,
2000,
54,
2004,
41,
and then 2008,
37.
What happened in 2012?
He lost palpably, and then he came again and lost. Now, do you know the funny thing is that Matthew Yindam unseated Teria in 2012. He trounced him again in 2016, and then he lost to Nsala Wakpal in 2020. He's making a comeback again this year. So it's going to be the same race between the two of them.
Because listen, if you ask me, after 2008, nobody should tell you that
Run away.
The people would obviously vote against you, because if you had won with 57.5%,
yes,
then later 54.2%, it came to 41.1%, and this time 37.2%.
And in fact, in the next election, his votes dwindled again. 36.
Well, I don't know what.
But the funny thing is that in 2012 he got 48. Sorry, 2016
he got 48.
48. 48, more than the margin he garnered in 2004. Quite interesting. Now this man here has 42 in his first on his first try, and then in 2016 he has a trajectory. So from 42 to 58%, and loses the next election. This is the definition of swing.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a definition of swing. Definition of swing. Now, let's see. So his votes dwindle in 2020, 47. So, in as much as the NDC's candidate who had gone on a 4-term, streak, had his votes dwindling, Nyindam's votes appreciated in 2016. And so, how then is he able to gauge that? Who vote against me? How? And then in 2020, a new candidate comes on board, and then they vote Nyindam out. And this time he's coming up against the same foe again. Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe we'll put the swing there. We'll put the
buffer over there.
put the buffer over there and see where it goes.
but I've observed something. If you look at the results history of Pandai constituency, whilst the NDC in 98 had the highest, it reduced in 2000, 2004 it reduced further, and then in 2008, like for the very first time the MPP won that seat in 2012. They have managed to widen the gap in 2016 from 42.5% to 50.1%. Now let's look at 2020. If they widen it further, and what is likely to happen?
In 2020, it reduced.
It reduced, okay. To
So I'm sure the numbers grew,
right.
but so the numbers grew from 19,000 to 23,000, but they had a net gain. No, so they had a net loss in terms of percentage, but they had an appreciation of votes, some 4,000 plus votes.
Right.
But the NDC's gain of 3.7 was too much for them, because then the NDC gains about 7,000 more votes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be an interesting place anyway.
Yes.
But Bless, let me ask you, Northern region, do you think the Baumia factor is performing some magic for the New Patriotic Party?
Well, so the northern region, I would say, is the heartbeat of northern politics. No disrespect to the other four northern regions,
right.
i.e. the Upper East, the Upper West. In fact, the Savannah region and the Northeast region were actually even part of the northern region before that demarcation in 2019.
True.
In 2016, actually.
Yeah.
But then, I think it wouldn't be too much to say that the vice president has some influence, on the region, coming from that part or hailing from that part, and then going head to head with somebody who also hails from that part of the country. Then it means that it's going to be a battleground for both of them.
Right.
So yes, it's a big yes. I would say that there's a Baumia factor over there where people would naturally align to someone who comes from where they are. It's about proximity. It's about where you come from, and so it's expected that that fight would be over there. So coming up in 2016 is going to be very, very interesting. This time around, if we are taking the Baumia factor into consideration, this time around he's not just the running mate to a candidate. He's actually the person whose face is on the ballot paper.
Right.
So if that influence is anything to go by, then it means that we probably may see even more of it in the upcoming elections, except if the people of the northern region decide to vote based on other factors that has got nothing to do with where the person comes from. So if they decide that, okay, we are not going to vote for this person just because he's from the north, but we are looking at what the person can do with the economy or the track record of the person, then it means that it's not going to play out. But if it's about he comes from the north, the the NDC's candidate comes from the north, then it means that they are in for a battle in northern Ghana come December 7.
Right. Greg, take us to another constituency. Ruben, I'll come to you again.
So, Mion, your
Mion
friend.
constituency. My friends. Well, the former MP is my friend. The current MP is my friend.
Yeah.
The parliamentary candidate on the ticket of NDC is also my friend.
Right. Interesting.
So in 2016, NPP 10,127, NDC 15,954, and then in 2020, NPP 21,552, NDC 14,158.
It's now Abdulaziz.
Abdulaziz is.
When did he lose?
He lost in 2020.
20, yes.
Okay.
He won in 2016, lost in 2020.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, he lost to another Abdulaziz.
Yes. So when you see the trajectory, I think that from 2000, 2004, 2008, 12, 16, it's all been NDC.
Yes.
And then NPP comes and then gives them a shock in 2020.
Wow. Wow.
It will not be shocking that the NDC wins back Mion constituency.
Why is that?
This is because in the last election, there are issues I wouldn't really want to talk about on the show, but there were issues. There were serious issues.
They are your friends.
They are my friends. There were serious issues. I wouldn't want to offend the former MP. I wouldn't want to offend the current MP. I wouldn't want to say anything.
Former MP is actually a friend to the station.
Yes. That will also discourage the parliamentary candidate for the National Democratic Congress. But if I should be fair, I think that if the NDC works hard, they can snatch the seat back from the New Patriotic Party, because in the 2020 elections, a lot of things went on. Exactly, and as a result, the former MP lost. Yes. Ideally, the NDC should have won that particular seat.
But I'm looking forward to what the figures that the presidential results changed
Okay.
in Mion in 2020, yes.
So it's quite close over there, very close, and that gives some credence to what Justice just said. Because if you look at the parliamentary polls, it's some 21,552 against 14,000.
Yes.
So that's some 7,000 margin.
Yeah.
Quite huge. But when it comes to the presidential election,
it's 18,000 against 16,000.
Yeah, so that's about 1,990 something votes different.
And then the NPP had only won here for the presidential election in 96. Now, 96, the seat was occupied by a CPP candidate. So the NPP won it for the parliamentary election for the first time in 2000 and won until they lost in 2020. The NPP had won it in 96 but gave up in 2000 and had lost until 2020. So what happened in Mion did not only affect the MP but
Also
translated to
yeah.
the vote that JM was supposed to have, because JM lost by some 1,900.
But also on that, still you could realize that there are lots of people, there's scores of voters there who voted for the NPP parliamentary candidate, but also voted for the NDC's presidential candidate.
Yes, but it was not enough for JM to win that seat. And
so let's check the results for 2016. I'm talking about Mion constituency. 2016, John Mahama had 15,982, representing 59.02%. President Adankwa Akufo-Addo had 10,432, representing 38.53%. Now, Abdulaziz, the former MP, had 15,954 votes, representing 58.48%. Mohammed Hashim Abdullah had 10,127, representing 37.12%.
Interesting.
So it tells you clearly that the issues over there were rife. Exactly, and so they couldn't resolve. I quite remember that around that time I was in Sagnarigu. I attended a rally organized by Honorable ABF Husseini. So when we left the place, I think myself and KOD were having a conversation with with ABF Husseini, and then he was telling us that there were issues at Mion, and that the members of parliament on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress, especially those from the Northern Caucus, will be going to Mion to go and see how best they can help their brother, win the city. And so at the time they knew that there were serious issues at Mion and all that.
What were these issues?
Well, there are issues I cannot mention on the show.
Right. But before we proceed, we do know for a fact that the Ghana Black Stars are in they're playing against Sudan. Unfortunately, we do not have the opportunity to watch the match. We also have to do this.
Yes.
But it appears that our quest to qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations has all but hit the buffers, because we are down by two goals currently. And Etash and Abdurrahman have all been, both of them have been on the score sheet. That's just, by the way, a little bit of football in there.
So let's focus on the World Cup.
Truth is, Kwesi appears are unforgiving.
I'm telling you.
And judges.
Right. What do you mean?
Right. So go ahead. From Mion, let's move to Sabuba. Now, this is also a swing constituency, because unlike Mion, which swung for the first time in 2020, Sabuba has been swinging since time immemorial. And so 96, 2000.
So we are now doing Sabuba.
Sabuba, yes.
Okay.
96, 2000, there was an NDC seat. That an NDC person occupied that seat. In 2004, it flips to the MPP. The NDC managed to snatch it in 2008 and then retains it in 2012, but loses the seat again in 2016. And then the NDC comes back again to snatch that seat from the NPP. And so in 2016, the NPP garnered 14,345 as against the NDC's 9,738. And so the NPP won that seat in 2016 for the first time since 2004. And then in 2020, NPP garners 15,048, just a little over 900 votes from the vote count they garnered in 2016. And then NDC garners 17,058. So NDC moves from 9,000 to 17,000. That is some 6,000 or 7,000 more votes. And yes, and so this is the confirmation of the results. Bukari Nikpe Joseph, NDC, 17,058. Jaul Abraham Binapadam, from the NPP, 15,048. And then an independent candidate, 278. And so this has been the voting trends in the constituency. In 96 to 2000, Moses Bukari occupied the seat for the NDC in 96, and then Nayon Bilijo from the NDC, takes the baton, wins again, and then in 2004, Charles Bintim comes on board and seats the incumbent MP, and then another NDC person comes and wins for 2 times, and then Charles Binimpom Bintim makes a comeback in 2016, and then in 2020 he loses that seat as well. And so this is the breakdown of the result in that constituency, and that is why it is one of the areas to look as far as the North is concerned, because it looks as if it is a swing. And even though the NDC manages to hold on for 2 terms and then some way, somehow, they lose that seat, the NPP also, from time to time, manages to snatch the seat from the NDC. And so that's one of the swing constituencies that we'd have to be looking at.
So what it means is that the NDC won that constituency 5 times from 96.
Yes.
As against that of the NPP, they won it twice.
Twice, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a bit shocking that the NPP candidate Charles Bintim, who won, lost the seat and reclaimed it again.
Yes.
So
years later.
What worked the trick for him?
Well,
this brings me to a question that I would want to ask. Either of you can answer anyway. What other factors do you think determine, you know, the voting pattern of the people in the northern region, apart from the Baumia factor that is working for the New Patriotic Party?
I think Ruben should take
I
that.
think with the northern region, if you look at their culture, their way of life, you realize that they are so keen about certain things they would want you to do for them once you are giving the nod. In some portions of the region, it's prone to conflicts. And when it happens like that, some of the actors involved use tribalism, which shouldn't be the case. There are a few intertribal conflicts in certain portions of the regions, and we've come to know that some of these political actors have been implicated. So when it happens like that, and the government wants to take it up, government will try as much as possible to detribe this conflict and find an amicable solution to it. But if you have instances where political actors themselves are involved, then it becomes a problem. And these same political actors would go out there and canvass for votes. So that has been an issue. That aside, you realize that people from that part of the country really cherish their own, regardless or irrespective of whether the person is belonging to tribe A or tribe B. Once you are of northern extraction, people will repose absolute faith and confidence in you that given the chance, you will deliver marvelously. We saw that in the case of late Alhaji Aliyu Mahama, that he served dutifully as vice president for 8 years. So it's not a surprise at all that our current vice president, having served for 8 years, now wants to be the driver in the seat. He doesn't want to be a driver's mate anymore. So these are some of the factors which, account for the voting patterns in that portion of Ghana. That is the northern region.
Right. So this is also just a very interesting trend over here for the presidential election. In 96, NDC wins with quite a margin, 81.7%, as against 17%. In 2000, it drops drastically to 54.3%. And then in 2004, they lose that seat for the presidential election. They drop from 54 to 42. The NPP rises from 21 to 52. And then the NDC makes a comeback in 2008, 50.4, as against the NPP's 43. So the NPP also drops from 52 to 43. And then in 2012, closest of margins, 51 for the NDC as against 47 for the NPP. And then in 2016, NPP wins again for the first time since 2004. And so they win with 54.6 as against the NDC's 43.1. And then in 2020, NDC makes a comeback, 51.6 as against the NPP's 47.3. And so it seems like the NDC ceded a very huge margin in 96 from 81.7%. And then for the next election in 2000, even though they won, their numbers dropped to 54.3. And since then, the graph speaks for itself. The margin has been very close. In fact, this is one of the keenly contested constituencies in the northern region as far as the presidential election is concerned. Very close. If you look at the gaps over here, the margins are very, very, very close. Very, very close. And so it tells you that this is a swing constituency, and going into this election, anybody, either Dr. Baumia or John Mahama, can emerge victorious in this constituency due to the voting trends since 2000.
Right. Let's look at the next constituency.
So our next stop is Wulensi.
Okay.
Wulensi. The NPP garnered 14,950 in 2016 as against the NDC's 11,061. Then in 2020, NPP garners 19,148 as against the NDC's 20,148. And so from this is the confirmation of the results, 20,148 for the NDC's Dauni Abukari, who is the incumbent MP, as against the NPP's 19,148. Now,
And
this is
the difference of 1,000.
Yes. Now, this is the breakdown of the numbers. In 96, an NPP candidate occupied the seat. In 2000, Nimakan. Now, just as if you are a student of constitutional law, this led to one of the landmark cases we have in parliamentary election jurisprudence in Ghana. Wulensi parliamentary election petition. And so Nimakan, there was a disputation over there, which later went in his and so Nimakan Samuel comes on board and then wins that seat. And then in 2004, Karim Kofi Wumbe from the NPP snatches the seat from the NDC, and then Thomas Donko continues for the NPP in 2008. And in 2012, the NDC snatches the seat. In 2016, the MP who lost in 2008 on the ticket of the NPP comes again on the same ticket of the NPP and manages to snatch the seat, and he loses the seat again in 2020. Now, in 2008, the seat was occupied, by an independent candidate, and so it swings to the extent that even sometimes it goes to an independent candidate. That is the definition of a swing seat. A seat that is not entrenched for one party. I mean, if you do not meet the aspirations of the people, they are likely to vote against you. And so that is the voter pattern as far as the Wulensi constituency is concerned. Justice, any comments?
Well, I'll defer that to either Ruben or Bless.
Oh, interesting. I've always had a soft spot for, constituencies who, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. I wanted to say constituencies that do not take nonsense, but I think that but I mean, once they see that you are not meeting their aspirations, like
they kick you out.
Stated, they kick you out, irrespective of whether you come from the place or you don't. It doesn't really matter, and I feel like that should be the sort of politics that we should be practicing here, where we overlook the fact that you come from this region, and so even if you are not performing, so as it will feel, the fact, even though we are not performing, would still maintain you. I think we need to move away from that politics based on tribalism and ethnocentrism and all of that. I think we should move away from it. Let's look at issue-based politics. Let's look at what you are bringing on board as a person, as a candidate, and not just the fact that you come from this region and so you should be given the nod. So I think, I'm impressed.
Right.
Now,
next up.
So let's quickly go through the presidential results for the same constituency. The NDC occupied it from 96 to 2004. The NPP came on board in 2008. It was snatched again by the NDC in 2012. Then the NPP won in 2016. Then the NDC won in 2020. And so as it stands, from 2012, no party, i.e. the NPP or the NDC, none of them has been able to win for 2 consecutive elections. And so that is a definition of swing. Now, if you look at the chart, let's look. It zigzags between both parties almost every election, and so it tells you that is one of the most politically discerning constituencies as far as northern region.
I'm about to ask that question. That is it safe to say that Ghanaians are gradually discerning in terms of how we vote? Formerly or previously, people would want to vote for the NDC. If it is the NDC, it's the NDC that they vote for. If it is the MPP, it's the MPP that they know. But there are some interesting twists, in the northern region, where now people would vote against you if you misbehave. People will vote against you if you're not performing.
I think
the only justification for any politician being in office is meeting the aspirations of your constituents. Anything besides that is highly intolerable. So for me, you can be there, you serve for 3 terms, but when you realize that your popularity is waning, it boils down to a multiplicity of factors. 1, if you fail to endear yourself to your constituents, the very people who endorse your candidature, then you become an albatross hanging around their necks. You don't wait till some few months to elections, then you try to canvass votes by, giving them freebies. There have been instances like that. People will be dishing out fine you got and all that. I mean, as an MP, just live up to the billing, and once you do that, your people would always endorse your candidature on election day.
Right, and so, Justice, let's go to the Zabzugu constituency, also in the northern region. This is another swing constituency because the seat has been alternating between the NPP and then the NDC from 96. And so in 2016, NPP garnered 13,534, NDC 13,591. In 2020, NPP 17,580 as against NDC's 14,631. So the seat is currently occupied by an NPP candidate. He's not the seat from the NDC in 2020. So Jabbar John Benam 17,580 against Al Hassan Umar of the NDC 14,631. Now, this is the breakdown of the parliamentary election results since 1996. Now, in 96, in fact, between 96 and 2004, the seat was occupied by the NDC's Jagri Mohammed, and then in 2008, Jabbar John Benam, who I think is the current MP for the area, he won the seat in 2008 and then retained it in 2012. And then in 2016, Al Hassan Umar, who lost against him in 2012, was successful in 2016. So he unseated Jabbar John Benam in 2016. And then in 2020, Jabbar John Benam again unseated Al Hassan Umar. So it seems as though from 2012, the seat has been alternating between these two persons, Jabbar Benam and Al Hassan Umar. And so that is also quite an interesting dynamic going into this year's election, because of the fact that both candidates have had a fair share of the results going in their favor from 2012. And so that is also one area that Justice, I think we need to be looking at as well in this coming election. I don't know if you have any.
Who are the candidates, in the upcoming election?
So
those same people.
For the NDC retained Al Hassan Umar, and so Al Hassan Umar will be on the ballot for the fourth time running from 2012. But for the NPP, they are bringing Fawaz Ali, and so Jabbar John Benam, who is the incumbent MP, will not be on the ticket. And so I think it swings the race quite open. It swings the race quite open, especially when the old guard who has been MP in 2016 has, been retained on the ballot for the NDC, but the NPP's Jabbar John Benam, who has been two-time, in fact, three-time MP, will not be on that ballot.
So,
the old order changed.
question is,
Yielding place to the new.
the people of Zabzugu are torn in between allowing the current member of parliament to continue his term, to continue.
The current member of parliament has no opportunity to continue.
Because he is not
he is out.
So the NPP
So it's a new phase against.
replaced.
So did the NDC replace?
So Umar Al Hassan will be on the ballot.
Okay. So what it means is that the people would have to be choosing in between the former MP.
Yes, and now
a new person.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
but I feel that the former MP is maybe quite popular.
and the numbers
in
are
the
not too
constituency.
huge. I mean, 14,631.
That's on 3,000
That's against.
Yeah,
in fact,
some
it's
3,000.
two. Okay, yeah, some 3,000.
Different.
Yes, and
Nearly
so
3,000.
yes, so the numbers are not too huge, and so it blows that race wide open, very wide open. Very wide.
So
open.
the question is, why him?
Well, maybe the constituency think he's an old guard, having served as an MP before, having given the incumbent MP Jabbar John Benam, who was MP 2008, 2012, lost in 2016, and made a comeback in 2020. Okay. He has been able to hold his feet to the race, and so maybe they feel he's the best person to advance their fortunes in this election. And then even after the NPP has replaced Jabbar John Benham, who is a stalwart in that constituency from 2008, he has been in that race till 2020. And so having him out of the race, having a new face, and having an old guard who has also been a force, who has been member of parliament one time for that constituency, I think it's a race. It's one of the seats that could be blown wide open. And I think yesterday one of our viewers sent a text message saying that the NDC are expecting to snatch this seat from the NDC. And I'm not too shocked that the NDC are banking on their fortunes as far as the seat is concerned, because it is quite a race. It is quite a race owing to Al-Hassan Umar's stature in that constituency and the fact that Jabbar John Benham will not be on that ballot.
Well, let's see how it goes.
Bless.
There's nothing more to add.
Right.
Let's see how things pan out on December 7th.
December 7th.
That's all I say.
Right. So, Justice, let's end on one other constituency that is very close to the one we just dealt with. That's Tatale Sanguli. You know, they are very close. In fact, they are. I'm sure they were one constituency until it was carved out of it in 2012. This is also another swing constituency because no one has been able to retain that seat twice. The NPP occupied it for the first time in 2012 when it was carved out, and then in 2016 the NDC won it, and then in 2020 the NPP managed to win it again. Now in 2016 NPP garnered 7,027 votes, NDC 9,371. In 2020 NPP 15,654, NDC 13,176. And so Thomas Imbomba is the incumbent MP for that constituency. And so in 2012, Jagri Mohammed was MP for Woolensey, I think. Three-time MP. We just mentioned his name not too long ago. He has been a three-time MP. And so when he lost and this seat was carved out, he tried his luck over there. Unfortunately, Oman son and so.
And so it works for some people.
So he lost to James Yangwube in 2012, and then in 2016, Tampi Echampon Simon from the NDC wins that seat against Thomas Imbomba, and then in 2020. There is a resumption of the battle between Thomas Imbomba and Tampi Echampon, and then this time Thomas Imbomba is lucky, he trumps over Tampi Echampon Simon. And so from 2012 that seat has alternated between the NPP and the NDC, and so this is also one of the constituencies, the swing constituencies in the northern region that we need to keep our lenses focused on. Justice.
Well, I have nothing much to say.
Well, the question is, why would some candidates who lose in some constituencies they contest decide to try their luck elsewhere? We saw that with the finance minister.
Yes.
Once upon a time, he was in Tamale Central.
Yes.
He goes to Karaga and he wins. Yeah. The current member of parliament for, I think, Tamale
Central. Yeah. The current member of parliament for Tamale Central.
Nanton.
Nanton, yes. He lost in Nanton. Yes. And then he came to
Tamale Central.
Who contests the Dominic Kwabenya seats, she loses.
No, she came to Ayawaso Central. That is Henry Corte's seat. But she lost the primaries.
Yes.
But now we have Nana Dukuya.
Yeah. She lives.
Who is an incumbent MP?
You see, her situation is different from the others.
How?
She has run away as an incumbent member of parliament.
That's
from which constituency?
From Ekrapim North to Okaikwe North. You see, she's the incumbent member of parliament. She did not even contest the primaries. She decided to come and contest the primaries here at Okaikwe North instead of contesting you know, at her constituency.
And she won.
She wants proximity to the parliament house.
Probably, on the hilltop, when you have to leave on Mondays, a lot of people climb up the mountain during weekends to, have fun, to simmer down and all that. And so if they have to, commute back to Accra again, it becomes an issue. So maybe she wants a place, then when she wakes up, she uses the Jolu Road to Kanda. She's in Parliament.
But do you know what baffles my mind?
No.
Although she contested the primaries at Okaipuri North, why would you run away from a contest in your constituency?
Because
to come and engage in another contest.
You see, politics is a game of numbers, a game of
so
perception.
she realized that
Sami Awuku is a colossus. One, owing to his stature in the constituency and owing to his stature in the NPP. And so maybe her people went to the grounds and realized she had no locus.
She had no chance.
No chance. And so,
So
she just had to. In PSA, so just had to run. And you baby, so I'm not. Wako baby, Krudo, so I'm not. So I think all this. She factored in all these adages, this province, in fact, so she just moved straight to Okaipuri North, and she was able to win. And
now the candidate who feels he was supposed to lead the NPP and that constituency feels hard done by and will be contesting as an independent candidate.
So that it blows that race also quite wide open. Even though I'm expecting the NDC's candidate to retain that seat because of some of these happenings.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it is a traditional.
It could be to the benefit of the NDC.
Yes.
If you look at Ken Kranche, who is a member of the NPP, and you look at so it's possible that they'll take votes off each other, and then that's split. A free pass.
I think that was what happened in 2020. Even though there was no candidate who split the vote, the NPP faction in the constituency were disgruntled with the MP because of some comments he made, which they felt
were inappropriate.
Yes. And so some didn't vote, and that spiked the vote count of the NDCs and the chance of the NDC's candidate. And so, justice, that is as far as the votes are in the Tatale Sanguli constituency. I would like us to quickly do the the presidential election as well in that same constituency, and then we see how the numbers are panning as well.
We have just about 5 minutes to go, so we need to hurry up.
Right. So in 2016, the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo 9,782, John Mahama of the NDC 12,105. In 2020, NPP 14,353, NDC 13,250. And so from 2012, NDC actually wins the presidential polls 2 times. So 2012, 16 they win. And then NPP wins for the first time in 2020. And so in as much as the parliamentary election has swung between both of them a time each. And so one for one party in 12, 16 it goes to the NPP, and then 16 it comes back to the NDC, and then 2020 goes to the NPP again. 2012, 2016 the NDC manages to win the seat but lose in 2020 as far as the presidential polls are concerned. And so this is a swing. They don't have a singular pattern. They don't have a singular pattern. Whether the MP, they are not, satisfied with the performance of the MP, they'll kick you out. And also for the presidential election, they vote where they want. Because in 2012, the NPP's parliamentary candidate won that seat, but they voted for JM. In 2016, the NPP the NDC wins, and then they retain JM. Then in 2016, they vote out both the NDC's candidate and vote against JM. And so they are quite,
that's interesting.
They have control over their affairs.
Let me read a few of our messages and then I'll come back for us to wrap up. This one is from Julie Belinda Oberry. Good afternoon to you all watching from UK. It's affecting us. We outside the country, we buy food, fish, and so on from Ghana. Dear President Mahama, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to your tireless efforts in rescuing Ghana from the current economic situation by making all efforts in touring the entire 16 regions to reinstate confidence in the people. Your dedication to the welfare of Ghanaians is truly commendable. Your initiatives such as the 24-hour economy policy, Women's Bank, the Big Push, etc. Demonstrate your commitment to transforming Ghana's economy and improving the lives of its citizens. Thank you for your selfless service and unwavering dedication to building a better Ghana for all. May your efforts bear fruit, and may you continue to be a beacon of hope for the people of Ghana. Sincerely, Seidu John Paul from that's former SRC president. What's that? Is it Tattoo?
Tamale Technical University.
Okay.
It's a regular viewer of Pan-African
Television. Oh, I see. Pan-African Television Justice Appear Bless Koku Alomaso. I think he tagged us. Thank you so much for your message. Ko Mensa Pilatu says, I will vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia because of free SHS and teacher trainee allowances. If you vote for NDC, they will come and cancel it. Let me tell you, special greetings to lawyer Mike Okwe Jr., PC for Domi Kwabenya constituency, Honorable Robert Lamte, aka Okumkom PC, Okumkom PC for Medina constituency by Mensa Pillar 2. I mean, these are time will last on the program, but 1 minute. Your expectation, Ruben. I think we are wrapping up with the Northern region. And what are your expectations in the upcoming election?
As it stands now, it's 9 for the two dominant parties. So, as to how they are going to play their cards, whoever works assiduously might end up winning more seats. But it happens to be one of the heartbeats so far as regional elections are concerned. Right. We cannot rule out or underestimate what pans out from that region.
Thank you. That's 1 minute. What are your expectations in the upcoming election?
Yeah, I expect what played out in 2020 to play out in the upcoming polls, especially as far as the Northern region is concerned. It's going to be a very heated fight over there. So when you look at the fact that it's Dr. Bawumia from the north and also John Mahama for the north, but I expect them to share the seats.
My name is Justice Appear and the show has been Election Focus. Goodbye.